So I'm here with Christie Golden, the author of Star Wars Fate of the Jedi series Allies and Omen, and also her new book, World of Warcraft: The Shattering. It just came out this week, and we're here with in San Diego at Mysterious Galaxy for a couple of questions. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Doing great.
All right. You've written in a lot of different sandboxes, Star Wars and Warcraft, but also StarCraft and Star Trek, and even a Buffy essay. So what makes writing Star Wars unique?
Star Wars is really kind of unto itself. It is a cultural phenomenon that many of the readers have literally grown up with. I was around for the first three movies to see them on the big screen. I was 13 years old, very impressionable, and it did leave a lasting impression on me. And I think it's unique in its scope. I think that it's more mainstream. Everybody knows May the Force be with you and lightsabers. Everybody knows this across the world. And I think it's less of a niche. I think it's more something that people can relate to in, day-to-day conversation.
All right. And then what makes a game property like Warcraft or StarCraft different for writing?
I think because it is much less static than an already established movie or even a TV show that's still in production. Because the games, they're constantly getting patches, they're getting updated. You're working with something that's kind of its own living entity. And so you have to be ready to adjust and edit and move things around. And it can be very frustrating because a book process is a much longer process. And so by the time your book has to be set in stone long before the game usually comes out. So there's often some discrepancies, and readers can get very angry with you, and you're kind of like, it's not my fault.
Okay, and then you mentioned earlier during the signing that also working with Blizzard is kind of a two-way street, that sometimes you'll give them ideas, and what happens with those?
It's really great because, as I say, because it is such a living entity, you can influence it directly to the extent that they feel is appropriate. I remember having, I do role play and I play the game, and I remember sitting in Stormwind for another expansion, and someone comes up on this beautiful animal, this riding animal, and they say, oh, it's a tall buck, and my jaw just dropped. I'm like, I made that up. You can ride them? How cool! So I had to go out and grind the rep and get myself a tall buck, because darn it, I wrote it. And so you can see immediately your influence in the world, and that's pretty wild. And it's, as I said in the at the signing, it's unique. I've really not seen anything that you can have that much back and forth and give and take. And I think it's because it's the nature of the game. It's much more flexible, and you can do things like that and see it. Another really fun moment was in Arthas. There is a horse, Invincible, that is very important to Arthas, and he mistreats it. He rides it improperly in improper weather, and it breaks both of its legs, and he has to kill it. And when he becomes the Lich King, he raises the body of the horse to serve him as an undead. And I suggested to the gamers, I said, what would be cool is to have Invincible's grave in the game and have it be empty. And they're like, oh, that's so cool. Next patch, it was in there.
Wow.
So I really, it's fun to see that immediate effect that you can have.
That things that you come up with, you are a games designer in a sense, that you're helping create story and content for in the gaming world. That's really neat. Going back to Star Wars, I almost said Star Trek. I'm fired now. In Allies, you had the opportunity to have Luke Skywalker team up with the Sith that appear against a common foe. How was writing that team up and having to balance both what Luke and the Jedi need and what the Sith need?
It was so much fun. It was really one of the most exciting concepts in the whole storyline to me. Was taking these two ancient foes and having them have to work together for something that's threatening them both, and all the while watching their backs and looking for opportunities for themselves and trying to protect themselves against possible hostilities. And so the tension between the two of those was just wonderful. And I think we came up with a really kind of good roster of characters to play off with that. We've got Astara, we've got Gavar Kai, we have Sarasu Talon, to kind of play with, and that was a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this whole new Sith culture that we've developed. It's been very, very exciting to help create that.
Yeah, tell us more about Vistara. She's definitely a new character and very, very exciting to have. Is she really on the Sith? What secrets can you share?
You know, I cannot reveal too much, but we've all had a really good time, the three of us, writing with her, because she helps to create tension and strife and conflict, and that's what makes a good story. If everybody's going, along together and everything's fine, that doesn't make it interesting. So there was somebody who said something on the forums once, and he says, "I like Vistara, and this disturbs me." And I was like, exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what we want to do, is we wanted to create a Sith who is Sith, very Sithy, but whom you like, and who is young enough so that, perhaps she can be changed. As Ben points out, Vader, Mara, the Skywalkers kind of have a history of bringing people back from the dark side. And the question is whether or not, is she too ingrained in her culture, or is she young enough to see something and to have it performed as an example. Ben's relationship with his father is nothing like her relationship with her father, and she likes that. So yeah, she's on the fence right now.
All right. So, in Star Wars, who's your favorite character to write?
I'm a big Luke fan from way back when. Luke was always my favorite character, but I have to say I really enjoy writing Ben. Ben is one of the characters I spoke a little bit earlier about not having music when I write because the characters talk to me. I have an ear, and I think that helps with my tie-in writing because I can hear the character speaking, and I can hopefully capture that. And even though Ben isn't a character that I can, watch in a movie the way Luke is, I can really hear him when he talks, and he's very easy to write dialogue for, and he's very easy to see in my mind's eye and to kind of get inside him. So I think that probably I would say that he's my favorite.
Cool. Is there any chance for any additional short stories? I know you wrote Imprint, which kind of led into Fate of the Jedi. Any chance for any more short stories?
I'm totally open to it. Nothing like that has come down the pike yet, but I really enjoyed writing that. It was a challenge because it was a very short story, and to be able to tell something of meaning and import and significance in such a small amount of space was a nice little challenge for me. I would be very open to doing more.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have World of Warcraft: The Shattering, Prelude to Cataclysm just came out in hardcover from Pocket Books, and Fate of the Jedi Allies came out earlier this year in May, and then Book 8 in the Fate of the Jedi series, Ascension, comes out August of 2011. Any other hints you can say about Ascension?
I will say that these three books are really, you guys are in for a ride. I think you will find it a very satisfying wrap-up of something that has, that's a lot of investment. That's an investment of time, that's an investment of money to a big 9-book series. And we're very conscious of that, all of us. And we're working really hard to give you some very good payoff.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Christie.
Thank you.